So one more diagram to show you. Take a quick look at this one. And like we've been talking about, you have your brain controlling everything in your body. And how does it do that? Through what? If your answer is nerves, you're right. Nerves send these messages back and forth. And when that works good, how do you think you're going to work or function? If your answer is good, you're right. That's called a state of ease or just normal good health. And what happens is we do things in life. You slip, you fall, you shovel, you sleep wrong. The little muscles get hurt. They spasm and compress. They're going to pinch these nerves, and now these messages don't get through. What do you think is going to happen toward your function when that's occurring? If you said it goes down, you're right. It starts to malfunction. The problem is you don't feel anything. It feels fine. And as it gets worse, it goes into not a state of ease, but into a state of dis-ease. You still feel good, and once your function drops below about 40%, you start to feel the symptoms. Now, what I'm trying to show you is that things start small, and they get worse and worse and worse until it gets so bad you actually then feel the symptoms. If you think about it, it'd be like if you went to the dentist, and the dentist said to you, "Hey, I'm sorry to tell you, you've got 3 cavities." And you said, "No, I don't. I feel fine. I'm going to wait till my teeth hurt, and then I'll come in." And you waited and waited and waited until you couldn't chew, and you couldn't even talk, and your jaw's killing you, and then you went back to the dentist. Would you have 3 cavities now? No. You would have 3 root canals, or he'd be getting the pliers because it would have gotten so bad. It's the same thing why you get mammograms, breast exams, pap smears, prostate exams, all of the medical testing that we do. You get your blood pressure checked. Any of that stuff, if you say, "No, I'm going to wait till I hurt," that just never works out good. So it's always better to have tests to show you what's going on in that malfunction stage way before there's any symptoms. That's what all those medical tests do. Same thing with what we do. The tests we do actually show you how you're functioning in the early stages so that we can determine if somebody has a problem brewing before it's all symptomatic. So let me show you on this chart again. The way people end up down here in symptoms is most people will start at 100% where everything's working great. But you slip, you fall, you shovel, you sleep wrong, car accident, sit at your desk too much, too many hours driving. You do things that we call life, but they stack up. Every little injury and trauma throughout your life builds, and every time it's like straw on a camel's back. Eventually you're going to do one thing that pushes you over that line into the symptom zone. If you were then to come in and get worked on, and we turned you around, as soon as you cross the line right here, how do you think you would feel right there? If you say, "Well, I'd feel better," you'd feel better here, you'd feel better here, better, 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 but as soon as you cross that line, what would happen to your symptoms? And if you answered, "My symptoms would be gone," you're right, you'd have no symptoms here. In fact, you would feel like you're way up here at the top at 100%. The problem is, those aren't the same spot. And if you were just to get here, and then we just said to you, "Oh, have a nice day, come back when you're hurting again," what do you think would happen the next time you would do something in life being so close to that line? Right, you would just drop back down below the line. And doing this over and over and over and over lets things just keep getting worse. Every time you flare it up, it's a little bit worse than it was before. So that's not always the best option. What's better is to try to bring this function up as high as you can. And I say as high as you can because nobody's ever at 100%. Nobody is going to be 18 again, live forever, or be bulletproof. But what you're trying to do is get your function as high as it possibly can. Once it's as high as it possibly can be, what's going to happen is you're still going to live life. So here you go. Things start stacking up again. Now watch this. instead of letting it build up to symptoms, what if we just pulled the tension out of there right there and just kept that working good all the time? You do things, we pull the tension out of those deep muscles when you don't even know it's there. That would be preventative or maintenance care. Which, when you think about that, who do you think that needs that? Right, everybody in the world. It's just nobody knows about it. And so the next question people usually have is, once you get here and everything's feeling wonderful, how are you going to know where you are between here and 100%? Because you're going to feel great. So how will we know whether you're here, 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 here? And I know this is a hard one. The answer is, you're going to know by the tests that we did when you first came in. What we do is periodically, usually about once a month, we're going to redo those tests, take you through all the tests again, compare to before, so we can actually see what's happening. Those tests are the key. That's what we do, that very few offices in town do, is we repeat them so we can tell how you're functioning, even if things are feeling great. So if you feel great, but you're failing a bunch of tests, would you say you still have a problem? Of course. If you feel great, yet you can do all of the tests, now we know you're working good, and we need to maintain that. So the next step, what we'd like to do is predict for you how long we think that's going to take, how many visits you're going to need, what other therapies you're going to need to do, what homework you're going to need to do. We want to predict all of that for you. In order to do that accurately, we need some information. We have your history, we have your testing. The other thing we need is to know your rate of response. People respond differently. And so what we'd like to do is work on you 3 times. Work on you today, get you back in here tomorrow or the next day and do it again. And then a day or 2 later, do it again. And what that does is, we know we're not going to change any muscles or tissues in 3 visits any more than if you go to the gym and you do this 3 times, you don't suddenly have these big muscles, right? We know we're not going to see permanent muscle change. But what it does is it gives us a window into your rate of response. If we work on you a few times and you talk about how great you're feeling, we know you're going to move through the process faster. And if you talk about how sore you are, you're going to take a lot longer. That way we can accurately predict for you how long it's going to take and what you're going to need to do. And then what we're able to do is plug in what your insurance covers, what they don't, what all of your costs are, so that then we can lay that out for you so you can make an informed decision about what you want to do, having all of the questions answered that everyone always has. Like, how long is it going to take, how many visits, what my costs are. We can lay that out for you. The other thing we can then do is figure out how to make that fit in your budget so you can do it and not be stressed out. How does that sound? If everything's making sense to you, then let's get started for your first adjustment. If you have any interest in sharing this information, we have all this data on our website too, at peakperformancechiropractic.info, so that when you get home and your spouse says, "What did they say?" you can just say, "Let me show you," and go right on our website, go to the tab that says "How does it work?" and you can click right on there and you can show them all this information that we just went through with you, so you can help educate others so that people don't come in suffering, that we try to get people to understand how to prevent problems.